Well, isn't it? Oh, there's definitely some tension. There's definitely some sort of like one. Like, isn't it? In some, in some. It literally. Good job, because that's, and then you wonder. Can say it outside of school. It's totally fine. Right. Do they use it in the house? Oh, yeah, I'm sure. That's what I am. No, but it is also that reminder of like, well, you can't go to a job and start saying this. Answer the surgeon. Go, 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 go. Yeah, no, that's one. Hello? Hi, doctor. Yes, doctor. How are you? I'm really struggling with this. I think is heavy because this is something I'm very passionate about. Yeah. And I'm feeling overwhelmed to accomplish this book club and all of what comes with it, and all of this. It's just purely necessity. I'm not saying this is important. It should just be its own thing. I am so overwhelmed. Yes, we do it all together. Exactly. Yes. But like, but it is. He's lost. Yeah, it is. It lost. Yes. I did read all of that. Yeah. But I couldn't. I had so much. Well, I just get on the fence. Oh, tell me about it. You're Katie. He's something else. He gives you so much. And I think he's a little condescending, you know. And I hate saying that, like, because I think that he is very knowledgeable. But you're using stuff like Life Finder and Stylus. And I showed the 18th teacher in my school, she's like, why are we using best practices that are used today in 2024? You guys should be using stuff so you can implement in the classroom. And yet, it's not exactly why. This is why. That's exactly that. Why are we doing that? We could be learning how do we use like how do you use like literally the form. How do I do this? I literally had to have my fiance record it. I had to use him. And my computer broke and I couldn't do a voiceover, so he gave me a B on the project because I said I can't fully buy my computer, it's expensive. And then I did it on my phone. He's like, I did good. I think you would have thought a professional did it because it was voiced over. He's like, but this isn't a picture book. I was like, well, can't the kid pause? It was like one video, like you watch on YouTube, and it turns the page. He's like, well, this is not a whatever he called it. And I'm like, I understand that, but I could record on my PowerPoint because I had to do it on my phone. And he's like, well, too tough luck, like whatever, you're gonna be fine. I got an A. Don't worry. It's totally fine. A million points, like he's very meticulous, but then also he uses things that are outdated, and I'm like, this isn't helpful. It's actually making it clearly. So if we like are just starting, so we're doing like a bunch of discussion. Check the Life Finder stuff. Yeah. I just Joey. Lance was like telling me. Do you want to see my Life Finder? Oh, good. I was like, gee, I'm like, you guys are so. I feel like everybody in this program. We're all like 170 people. I'm like, Anita sent me the mail of the book for this class. She sent it to me. She had an extra. She said, "Send me your address." That's hilarious. I know in other programs, probably not for special ed, but they're probably for like other things. Whatever. Teachers, all the time. I know. But they banned it in a school district on here. Shut up.
Yeah, we're not allowed to use that.
Why?
I don't know. I can't even remember. It was something about
Some
yeah. Yeah. So we're all like sitting there and we're like, you're gonna get off these pages.
like, how can you do it at home?
Yeah.
And then, but it's so useful. I think it's they're like, we need teachers. We love teachers.
Almost impossible.
Yes.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And they
What are
should.
you doing for conference? No, I'm switching gears.
When do you take?
I don't know.
Okay, so what?
Well, so I signed up for the workshop, which is supposed to start at the end of February. I honestly like so here's my plan. So I'm gonna sign up and take it sometime in February, and then if I don't pass, it's fine. Then I'm going into it as a math first.
That's how I am.
And then I'm gonna retake it. And don't have to have time on spring break. Try to take it. My back was taking plenty of time. Because I could walk in and understand. And
Do you have the practice test? Did you do the practice test?
I have like ones from online, but no, I don't have like the actual.
Will you? I'll send the official one.
Oh my God, thank you so much. I've been looking at it, I can't find it. What did you get it?
From Professor Carr, from the lady who runs the workshop. I could only go to 2 of them. So this is on the Illinois website, the government website.
But I looked at that. It's only a few questions.
No, it's not. It's not as long, but you go to objective 1, and there's a bunch within objective. Oh no. Choose.
Yeah, it'll prepare you. It'll prep you, and both are like.
Right. Because it gives you some narrative, like what should you do for this kid's present. No, I'm talking about but so upstairs. Yeah. Okay. Let me know. No, like honestly, I think that with the knowledge that you have.
Well, I like really but I for an art like certification through my job in Florida. So now I'm not only doing these 2 classes, I'm also doing charts. So I am dead and dying. So if you guys see me just like laying in the corner, just be like, she got me one. I swear to God. Yeah, don't worry. But I'm like, I don't know why I did this. Oh, looks like I just got a doctor. Yeah, yes, and you have February 16th, she will do the surgery. Okay, good. There you go. Everyone has that. Everyone has these fun things. Yes, I can email people. So yeah, of course.
Yeah. So there's another one that like last semester there was a really good one. Ooh, there's more than one. Yeah.
Great.
That's what Dr. Carr was saying. I did not find the 2 classes that I went to out of the 4. So I did not find it.
See, I'm like, I signed up for it at the end of February, but honestly, it's like,
Dr. Carr is really cool. She's like this older lady, very knowledgeable. You're gonna get a million notifications on D2L when you're in there because it's all the content. It's like the physics, the science one.
They just like uploaded everything, and I'm like, why do I have so many things going on? Like, this is literally nothing. This is literally nothing.
Don't worry about it. She's really nice. She's really cool, and I think that yeah, great. Yeah, and it's just right? What? $290. That's it. Nothing less. And they reimburse you with $100 if you take the tax. You do it then enough. Huh? Yes.
Oh, before April 19th. Well, wait, you already did it, didn't you?
I did.
Was it really hard?
It was long and somewhat.
Yeah, I'm going in thinking I'm not gonna first time. And then I can take it again and feel comfortable and
Sorry, I've been talking like it's this, I didn't even think it in here. I feel bad now that I didn't know that. I might not even. No. Trust me, I took a long, I didn't for extra time. No, it was. When I took the foundations out. That's the English. Right, that's so hard. Yeah, they gave me. Well, and so much. Oh, yeah, I remember. You haven't told July something to let the last day is like July.
You're fine. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Yeah, I'm just going. Same. That's part of it. Because it's only what you got, one of the three, what video. Oh, no, and you know what to say, you know, you just tell you this question. No, you just close it out. So I called them, I said, you know what? Okay, I just want a result. I want the, I want to see. You want to see what you studied. That's what teachers do. You know, just once. And it's repeats and it repeats. So we can, so it's gonna be the same test. We can give these. So I'm not the teachers, we also do work. Yeah. So that, I remember that. Oh, yeah. Questions. I wouldn't know that after that. Say that. Spell it out. Yes. And sense. But the right, and then. Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's a long. It's a long. This happens with so much. But I feel so much better. It literally says I'm okay, but you like you do this. It's good. Yeah, you know. You know, this is what Dr. Collins. It's the list essentially. It's like yes, Dr. Done. Yeah, I know. Doesn't make it easy. And there are lots of like resources to go online. So many like pages and Kelly was saying something that she had. She was saying she had some kind of that had put. 3 minutes? 3 minutes. Perfect. Thank you. We're wrapping up. Tell you. Oh, one. You don't try to four. I think one. What? What? Please send that. What? Because I don't want. Excuse me. So I thought I asked her that she said that. Wait, someone I can't even keep track of what's going on right now. And that is 10 minutes, right? Or 15 minutes. Is it just one? We're going to just go in front of the class and no, I do that. I always figure it out. I figured out when I I'm so sorry. So this is a lot. Consider me as a teacher and what is teachers? Break it down. Break down the test. Not loading. Is she just like you just watch it? Probably. Don't even tell me. Probably. Wait, guys, that's good. What? Everything. No, I have no. The source of my strength. I'm like, I feel lost already. We're struggling together. Oh God. Oh God. This semester is like I feel like it's the end and I'm starting to get to the point where I'm just like And it's there. Yeah. Like obviously nothing is worse than snow. Nothing is worse. That was really. She said, cognitive means intellectual, right? That's okay, but these are scores from kindergarten, and she wanted the current one, and where are they? I have no idea. I think there's probably that.
At seven.
It's seven.
Yes, we still got a few more minutes. Yeah.
Okay, guys, I only see one mini left. It's 6:45. I only see one mini left. Okay, also, the sports study one, I don't think it's right. I could be wrong. Because this is the updated one, right? So I have in my notes, it's not. We're not quitting, we are going. No one is quitting. I'm just focusing on the next, like what I do, I guess yeah, but that's what I want. That's what I swear, that's what I want. And it's Wednesday, exactly. Everybody's talking about it.
The hybrid for next week. Next week, Wednesday is hybrid. Not today. Next week hybrid.
Reasons really cool. I think it's supposed to be sunny. It's supposed to be, but it's always. It's windy.
How's everything? I saw quite some activity on the discussion board. I come with team tonight. I know two people have been done it yet. Uh-oh. Are you ready with the initial contribution? I should be 16 cents at least. So that's a quick reminder. So I'm not finish myself. I talked about things that you can earn funds easily and maximize the interest that your points of contact. Things that are easy to earn points on. Go ahead and make sure you earn all of them. But there are things that are harder to earn points on, but the easier one, just do them and do them. And even the hard ones, start early. Start early. Like for the little project, I only saw one informed consent form submitted, which means either you have you signed informed consent form but have submitted it, or you probably have a parent son by caregiver, maybe in the process of trying to identify a child of care, whatever the case, it should go a little fast. I should also let you know that I made some changes, minor changes in the syllabus. And for those of you who feel like ready to just move along, you can present as soon as moving. It doesn't have much to it, really. You just have to have the information done. You just have to have that information. Look at the videos, spot those places in the video where you see evidence of speech sound, easy. Any speech sound, consonant, vowel, it's good to have for consonant and vowel. Spot anywhere where the child implies the meaning of something, even if it's not by word. Syntax, the grammar, okay. Morphemes. Morphemes are units of meaning in a word. For the young children, because you cannot go above 2.5 years, these are probably not very verbal. So most of it will be receptive. I should write down somewhere, so we have to see them. Those languages experiences for children can be expressive. What does that mean? Meaning the child is producing those sounds. Producing maybe sounds, producing something that demonstrates syntax, producing something that demonstrates semantics, morphology, or it can be receptive. Can be receptive, of course, from receiving. The child is receiving a lot of syntax from the parent when the parent is speaking, especially if the parent or guardian has good language model. And good language model means speaking in complete sentences, structuring the speech so that the child can actually hear the pronunciations and the stops very clearly. So that is coming to the child receptively. So don't panic when you see that, oh, this infant that I'm observing doesn't have any sentences. How can that infant have grammar? Well, you can always claim that the infant is learning receptive syntax. Okay. Receptive, let's say morphology, that's a hard one too. Receptive morphemes. Sounds are easy because they will make sound, consonants and vowels. But for syntax and morphemes, don't hesitate to say there was some sort of evidence of the child's learning of receptive syntax or receptive morphemes. Yeah, receiving morphemic information and kind of storing it inside. Some point, the child starts saying books, toys, then you know that they have that. Right. That's just a quick reminder. So if you really feel like you're ready to move along and just get it out of the way, if you have observed, or if you can observe like next week, the following week you could be ready. Could be ready to present. The good thing is when you present on the 14th or on the 28th, I think, you get some bonus points. Yeah, those bonus points really, really help. Because students lose points when it comes to, especially syntax and morpheme, because these are infants and they are not talking in a way that you can see the grammar, forget to say they're receiving that from the caregiver, and then you get no points. It's only 5 aspects. If you lose points on 2, then you're getting points for only 3 aspects. That can be. So the bonus points actually. I encourage you, if you feel like you can go ahead and present in the next one. Consider that. You can see the syllabus, the changes I made, I included that. And before class ends tonight, we'll sign up for who presents what. And make sure that you sign up so you know you're presenting. and have it on your calendar, so you don't have to do guesswork. Any questions about any of the assignments? We have finished module 1. When I say we have finished module 1, I'm thinking of the understanding that you are doing the work you're supposed to do on your own. The video. Have you watched the video? Next week, there will be a lot of the questions about the video. The videos are in module 1 for a purpose, so that you pace yourself. We cannot have class time watching all those videos. That's why I have them on there, and you kind of, they're not that long really. The longest is just an hour. The rest of them are shorter. So you pace yourself and watch them so we can take your notes. You can watch 2 to 3 times. Something we cannot do in class. That kind of stuff. So watch those videos. If anything remains in your mind as unknown or something that requires explanation or elaboration, I will be more than happy to help you out. Because at this time, when we are done with module 1, I want everybody to be definitely comfortable moving forward. And the main reason also is not just that we have covered module 1, but the other reason being that module 2 and some of the other modules, you don't meet for both classes. You have the writing class. You have the writing class, so you don't come. When you don't come, it's really up to you to manage that time and make the right. So with that, bringing you up to speed, let us get started. Maybe I have to start with something. What is the first thing we're going to do now? We are going to do journal entry. Journal entry for 15 minutes. And remember, this is the last journal entry before you submit that journal work. So do your best. Go to your notes. Whatever you wrote your notes when you were reading those chapters, 1 to 3. Write. If you read 1 to 2 and 3 is pending, that's up to you. You still have a week. So write as much as possible. Do the entries in ways that it's easy for you to pull it together into one coherent journal to submit when journal 1 is due. So we're going to start right now. We're going to end at 7:30. Saturday. The journal entry is a way of not only, it's not really putting what I've learned down in writing, it's also revising, reviewing it and revising it. You realize when you had points, you look forward, you know what exactly the point is. When you're writing, you add things to change. So in a way of processing the learning and actually nailing it down. So really helps. That's why I say you're writing right, but also you're holding right. As you write, you nail things down. No one's coming on it. But when you write something down, it's not on the paper or on it down. It's also a way to spend. Yeah, that's it. Enjoying writing because you're just writing what you. You're not thinking hard, it's just going. I love it. Just keep going when you come back to it. Just add on to that some of the points and even throw them away. It's your thinking through the learning process. So after this journal entry of today, we're going to pull together what you've done for the first class. Let's try it. Right. So that'll be after the class lesson two, because we're beautiful class that you're right in front. So we're going to pull together what you have learned in these two modules in chapter 1 to 3. Okay. We're going to pull it together and make it make sense. How do you make it make sense? You relate to your own experiences. You relate to your own experiences, you give examples. Examples are really, really good to show that you understand what you're writing about. If you highlight an example, you mention it, and then you elaborate on it so that the reader knows what you're talking about and it relates to the point you're raising from the reading. That is evidence. That is very strong evidence that you read, you processed it, you understood it, and it's there to stay. As long as you keep activating it. At this point, I want to know any hurdles, any challenges that you foresee in submitting your first journal. It's 30 points, you want to earn all of them. How do you earn all 30 points? Page 9 of the syllabus. Yeah. That's how you earn all of them, plus the scoring right. Oh no, we don't have scoring. No, I don't want to score that for that. Because I don't want to limit you to the starting time. It's a personal learning process. So you write however you can. Some people go chapter by chapter. Chapter 1, okay, and labeling the main points, maybe now in our lives or something. 1.1 and then elaboration and then example. Another point and then elaboration and then example. Another point and then chapter 2 and then chapter 3. It's your style. Other people find one thread, for example, how, let's say, speech sounds or learning speech sounds or interacting with caregivers. Anything that you pick up from chapter 1 to 3. And some people decide to use that and talk about it in chapter 1, continue talking about the same thing as discussed in chapter 2 or something related, and also chapter 3. Either way, it's fine. How you organize it, it's your style. I don't want to interfere. As long as as long as you adhere to the requirements of page 9, you should add 20 points. Margins, 1 inch on all sides. Yes, 20 points on it. Subtitles work really, really well. They organize your thinking and they guide the reader. Subtitles are a sign of good writing. And you differentiate your subtitle from the rest of the text. There are different ways to, how do you differentiate subtitles from the subsequent text? What can you do? You do that all the time. First one. Bold. Okay, you can bold it, yeah. Make it darker. 4. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, okay. Indent that way. Okay, yeah, actually, yeah, that's common too. You can underline, okay? You can italicize. Bolding and underlining are very common. The challenge may be when you have several, this is a writing class, you're really learning how to write formally, for sure. The challenge may arise when you have several, for example, the title in the middle. It's up, lots of the reflective journal one in the middle. Fine. You can think of a fancy term to call it, but it's a reflective journal one plus it goes in the different program or something. And then you have that in the middle, and then you have the subtitle on the side. What are the subtitles? Give them some meaningful word. If you find that difficult, just say chapter one. And you can even list the points that you learned from chapter one, 3 or 4 points, and then start writing. What you cannot do is hand me bullet points, all the points. It's about writing. Bullet points, you get 0, sincerely. Because I've seen in the past, students just putting bullet points of the things they learn. You get 0. This is the writing process. You are demonstrating that you can write professionally. So bullet points is begging for elaboration in continuous prose, right? Okay, you provided bullet point, that's fine, but elaborate on it. So don't hand in just bullet points. That you will lose all points. And when you start losing points so early in the semester, it's discouraging. That's why I have my assignments. The first assignments are usually easy ones. So just about everybody gets also points. So the points will be better. And that's encouraging. Makes you feel good about it. But if you start losing points on the first assignment, makes me feel bad, makes you feel bad. And then for the rest of the class, you're wondering, am I a good student? You are a good student. You have 2 years, do I, can speak, can read. Why not utilize those abilities? So questions, I'm going to pause and see if you have any questions that you think are going to be challenging as you pull together your journal one. Because I really want you to learn all the points. Yes, Sana. How long should it I don't have a page limit on that because people have different ways of writing. Some people are very wordy. I give my students this example all the time. There was a time when I was submitting a paper publication and they needed 25 pages maximum. So I kept writing without worrying about the page numbers and I'll cut it down. Keep writing until everything I had to say was done with examples and elaboration. It came to 65 pages. I said, how am I going to cut 65 pages to 25? You know what? I never did it. I just pushed it into every lives there until now. But that was learning on my part. I learned to write concisely. So concise is good, but it has to be informative enough. Concise is good, to the point. It's good, but it has to be informative. So if you're as wordy as I am, I'll say cut down on unnecessary words. Okay, but don't cut down on content. Don't cut down on the examples. Don't cut down on what you've learned. Cut down on the extra sentences or wording that really doesn't add to what you're trying to say. Okay. So don't cut down on content, cut down on the wordiness. The words that don't add much. Get rid of. It's because there are 3 chapters. Just imagine, think of the way your brain works. If you are writing about 3 points, it's saying 3 or 4 points, right? On page 9. Okay. Let's say you have 3 points. How much can each point check when you elaborate? Is it like half a page? Is it like a full page? Half a page maybe? A third of a page? A third of a page? I know, but font size 12, one each margin. And font type regular. Okay, so let's say a third of a page. How many points on one page? 3, right? Okay, so for chapter 1, you have 3 pages, just elaborating on the point. What if you add examples from your personal experience? You're going to still be a third of a page. I'm telling you, 1 point is going to fill up a page. But when 1 point plus the examples, the experiences goes beyond the page, you want to cut down on the wording. Yeah. When you are done with 3 chapters and 3 or 4 points, please try, I would say try not to go beyond 10. Don't go beyond 10. You don't come to 12. If you go 3 times 4 is 12. If you have 4 points, and each one of them takes, let's say, a page and a little longer, then you have 3 chapters and 4 points in chapter, or maybe some of them 3. Really, you can easily find yourself on page 11, 12, 13, even more. So the answer to your question, Sana, is please try and keep it under 10 pages. But if you give me 5 pages, oh, that draws my attention. This is a little brighter. So much information in 5 pages, let me find out how they do it. Guess what? You didn't do it. Because that amount of writing did not allow for it. They just really skimmed on everything. So between 8 and 10 pages, as long as all the information that's one. Any other questions? Okay, I'm gonna give you 5 more minutes. Write the introduction to your journal 1. Now, whether you're starting another one or you're pulling together all your entries, but 5 minutes, write the introduction to your journal 1 and see if you face any damage. Write the introduction. Write the title, it's journal, reflective journal 1, and don't confuse this with the journal article review. Those are very different. This is a reflective, it's in your brain, reflective journal 1. This is what it is. So give it a good title, you can make it fancy, or you can just say reflective journal 1, chapter 1 to 3. That sounds good. You won't lose points for that. But you can be fancier and impress the reader. Write the introduction and see how it feels. The introduction will be about a paragraph. So write it as if you are getting ready to submit. And if you're really, really happy with it, you're going to read it twice. So that you see what it is right. Don't waste the 5 minutes. Write it. This is the very first journal of the system. You can open your introduction by saying something about language in general, maybe saying something about, yeah, language in general, or language in the early years, maybe how is the language is in our life, or maybe you have wondered how to develop language. Just open it in a way that it looks like something, like the beginning of something. For journal 2 and 3, you can continue. Um, you can just write a picture, continue, talk about the book, but this is the first one. Produce it in a way that is really productive. You say something about the author. Okay. Look at your introduction. 1 paragraph, 2 paragraphs. Is it something that we can actually continue working on and make it part of your journal? Yes or no? Okay, you wanna read to us and see what that sounds like? Doesn't have to be perfect. Just has to be something that we can actually work on and make it part of your first journal. Any volunteers, please? Gonna read? Gonna read? When I was looking for this book and it's often generally people things that okay. You found it though. Then she said oh yeah, she was one of us. Yeah, she was the teacher. Language development, institutional sharing, language to extend receptive everything and focusing and trying to get something. Going through it, so I could learn. Well, that's a good thing. This is the fantastic because then okay, that sounds good. It's just fine. Yeah. That's the end. Yeah, this one. I know, that's a whole introduction. Okay, thank you. That's that. That's a good to start. Happy on the time. Look like you already. Okay. Okay.
The first three chapters language development. Their our text focuses on four fix the language as well as gives examples of real life scenarios that this must be for. Language development is so much more than studying to talk, read, and write. The first three chapters of our text help break down the importance of the five aspects of language knowledge, their history behind the practices.
Wow, that's a good level start. You wanna include the author's name because you mentioned the book. Is that the title of the book?
I mentioned the title of
By Beverly Autumn, something like that. Thank you. I like that. Anybody else wants to share? Nobody else wants to get feedback? What's your name again? Huh?
Yeah.
Jackie.
I'm not done.
Yeah, no, you don't have to. Okay.
So this is
That's the title? Okay.
so I started off with in the very beginning of my life, surrounded by first things. That's the diagnosis. This would have been all what being the first thing as it would become the rest of the books. I showed you the all wouldn't hear we would hear what that is from this. And although we couldn't do like
Right. That's really good. Thank you so much. That sounds good, right? From very practical point of view. One more reader, one more person to share. Does this give you a sense of how to begin? Yeah. Anyone else wants to share? Nancy does 1, 2. Sana does 1, 2. Selena does 1 point. Most of you like to share things. That's what I would say. No. Miren, nice. Wanna be? Uno más. What? Okay, projections. Sandra. I like the laughter. Valerie, you don't have to.
I wrote very little just because still trying to just kind of get
Oh.
the thoughts together, but not really.
All right. My point is for you to see how you can enter it from. You can enter it from the point of the textbook, like Karen did. You can do from everyday life, like Jackie did. And Katia, you approach from the point of view of the content itself. There are so many ways. That's why I don't want to limit you to start this way. I don't tell you, so that's an include this. No, I really love reading those because then I can see. And when I'm reading, after I get the names in my brain that I'm reading, I kind of see it, trying to think of the picture. I guess because it's really, really good because then I get to understand your learning process and hopefully you're more forthcoming in terms of letting me know how to help you. You will do it in the class and you will move on. That's fine. Okay. All right. So today we have two things. This is module 2. There are two things in module 2. You can put on the journal. Just remember to go back to it, finish it up, and submit when it's supposed to be. You go on the phone. Tired? Okay. So there are two things for this month. There are worksheets that are supposed to do like class activities, but you know what? I kind of need those for you to do because those are things you can do on your own. So I will introduce the two things that we need to discuss this morning. Theoretical perspectives of language learning, language development, and also linguistic diversity. Linguistic diversity is such a huge topic. We can entire course on it. But we can only limit to being part of the market, not even a whole course on it. So I'll do my best to highlight some of the things that I think are really, really important for you. Not coming to class next week, but also make it productive and move forward in terms of learning. So let's get started. Which activities? Like class activities that like check your learning. Oh yeah, we have a lot of modules to do. Yes. Like, so it says on the bottom that writing to do analysis in the or do it says like no. All the assignments to be submitted have folders. Right. If it doesn't have a folder, of course, this discussion doesn't have a folder, but it has a folder for telling the points and if the points done. So those are for you to make down the learn. And what happens when that people don't do that? If I don't have to submit to the professor, forget it. What happens to do something I'm not submitting? Oh yeah, at some point you will reach it there. Because the course is planned in a way that it's like a chain break. If you miss out on one of the chains, cut off. You don't know how to do it. So you really don't want that. When I tell you this is a home activity, that it's a class activity that has to be done at home because of the writing class, please do it. If you don't, I don't know how else to help. I will not be able to help. But the gap in learning will definitely show up some. Okay. So let's talk about theoretical perspectives. Theory. I know many people don't like theory, right? Yeah, who said what? Who did what? When did they do it? Who cares? Well, we should. You know why? Because we cannot pretend, okay, we were born in the 19th century or the 20th century or the 21st century. Some of you were born in 2000. Anybody? You are not in when we used to write the dates like 1-9 something. Okay. We don't want to pretend that we are exploring this field for the first time. No. People have spent their lives, they died studying this and writing about it. There is so much information. Have you heard the phrase that we're standing on the shoulder of giants? Believe me, there are people who are much more serious than we are. Today, our brains are full in all directions with quick things, and TikTok, something real fast. No, those people are really serious. They would sit down and think. They would do research, study things in detail. They would go through the process of how a child develops learning to get the detail. So there is a wealth of information. There's a wealth of information, and we come and we're on top of it. We don't have to pretend that nothing has been discovered, nothing has been learned, nothing has been written. We have to go back and see what they say. Not necessarily to agree exactly with what they say, but actually to process it. To process it, to compare it with our own circumstances and see. Most of the time you see the things that are written in theory, yes, actually they don't apply. Or if they don't, there is justification for that. Why doesn't it apply in this case, but in normally works? So it's important to know about the history, the theoretical perspective, the enormous amount of work that has gone into it. Very serious work, not wishy-washy type of things that we do today. So these old researchers were really into it because they were dedicated. I don't know why, but I hope we get such researchers and dedicated people going forward. Otherwise, field of study will disappear, will not disappear per se, but The information will be just bits and pieces, like what you find in blogs, or when you Google something, you ask a question and everybody's going to Google it. What is it? Just give me 2 words. If you give me 5, that's too many. My brain cannot take it. I know we are bombarded with information, and that is making our brains really just reject it. Sad, but these people will work us up every time we go back and see what they did and how much they did. Otherwise, we wouldn't even know. When would we expect a child to say their first word? When would we expect a child to produce certain sound? When would we expect a child to be able to do that? We wouldn't know. Everything would come like a surprise. Oh my God, my 3-year-old says mommy. Yeah. Imagine the people that sat down to write about the sounds we saw last week, where they're produced. You know how much work we do that? Lifetime. So we have to learn about theory to know the strength of the field, how much work has been done in the field, and how we can. And some of our students are really, really up there. You can see in some of my classes, I can see people that can really go ahead and do them better than me. Unfortunately, not many. Maybe because of circumstances, but you never know. I'll be proven wrong, but that's the reality. But every field of study, early childhood education has been a field of study for decades now. Of course, it wasn't as important as the other higher levels of learning. Elementary was seen as a good level of learning. Secondary, if you tell someone, oh, I'm in a target account, playing babies and toys, no, there is a lot of science. Let me tell you this: you'll be surprised how much ignorance there is out there in relation to early childhood. If you tell someone you're doing early childhood, they think you should be doing philosophy or political science or something. They have no idea that this is the origin of how we develop in all domains: physical, cognitive, language, emotionally. It's the basis for everything. And if you are teaching the very young ones, imagine if you give them a bad concept. Some of those people who look down upon a child, it's really ignorance, nothing else. That you cannot do anything to teach them. They think high school is better. They think elementary school is better because they have no clue what's happening. But give them one little article about brain research and see their eyes open wide and they're going strong. 3 years can do this, or 3 years can do this, or children can perceive sound. Newborn babies can perceive sound from any language whatsoever. They have no clue because they haven't looked. But you are you're learning about the foundation. From early childhood going into elementary, into secondary, you're going to have a solid foundation of how people develop and learn. And you're going to be working with ignorance. Somebody so opaque, you will cut it with a knife. But it's not your role to try and educate people. Just do your thing right. Those who are paying attention will see what you're doing. So these are some of the theoretical perspectives that we talk about. Have you heard of nativist perspective? Have you heard of that? Is it the first time? Nativist. Nature. Have you heard of Noam Chomsky? Okay. Actually, I studied Noam Chomsky for the first time in 1984. Yes, you were born in 2000. 1984, I was studying Noam Chomsky. Generative drama, his theory. I was a double major in linguistics and education, and I was just fascinated with language, theories of language, a generative drama. And my thinking, like all other students, all these theories, these old men in European countries or Australia or wherever that came up with theories that we have to learn, and the books are all written in English, or read them and say, okay, they did that, they did that. We have our own way of looking at this, which is true, by the way, it's coming out more and more now. We'll look at them as people that are not real people. They came up with theories, they're probably imaginary. No, Noam Chomsky is alive. Google him. Noam Chomsky. Google that right now. Think somebody smiling. Yeah, He's a real person. When I came to North America, speaking somewhere, and say, what? And he would walk into the hall, thousands of people there to listen to him. And he would walk in like this. No single piece of paper. And he would talk for hours. And the line to get him sign some sort of something was so long. It took hours for people to get through that line. So Google that name. Let me know if you find it. Can you read something about him? I like that. Okay, what else? Sorry? He's 95 now. He's still alive. What are you talking about? He is alive now. That's what I'm talking about. He's a real person. I'm telling you, I watched his lecture and my jaw dropped because I used to study, the way you study about some theories and think it's abstract. BMJ, who knows these, but his theories here. And when I heard, oh, this is the real guy, he's talking, I dropped everything and listened. Mesmerized. So people have so much in their head and wonder how we could spook someone with it. All right, so that's one. And then we have cognitive developmental perspective. What name comes to mind? Yes, Cynthia J. Cynthia J. Yes, you came up with that. The main point for you, okay, with that, we're going to go over this. But with Noam Chomsky says we're born with the capability to develop language. We're born with it. Now, it's up to the environment to bring it out. Call it language acquisition device, LAD. Piaget cognitive developmental perspective says, well, language is a byproduct of interacting with the environment. Language is a byproduct of cognitive development. Interaction with the environment. When children are playing around, they need language to make the play make meaning to them. And then you have the old, really old ones, you have the races. Remember any examples of those? Pavlov, Skinner, Watson, Thorndike. There are so many of them. They did a lot of experiments about human development, but they used animals. And then you have the more recent ones, interactionists. What name comes to mind? Lev Vygotsky. There's another one actually that's not here, Yuri Bronfenbrenner. Have you heard of that? Yuri Bronfenbrenner? The theory is catching up like wildfire. There's so much written about Yuri Bronfenbrenner. I don't know if Yuri Bronfenbrenner has written anything about language specifically. Even these ones, except for Chomsky, they didn't really write something specifically for language, but it is kind of extrapolated into language. So this one is catching fire really, really fast. His theory is ecological systems theory. Ecological systems theory. He is a major interactionist. So he's not among the ones we're discussing, but you should not forget there's another interaction. He's bringing coming. We'll talk about the Vygotsky more here because he has information about that. Okay, so the key points from the nativist approach is that humans have this innate capability to develop and learn language, and that the language acquisition device just waits to be active. So he saw language as a rule governed. Everything is about rules. When you put the rules together, you get the utterance, you get the sentence, the stretch. For example, if I say, okay, it is evening now. It or no. Let's say I am reading a book. I is the subject. Reading is the verb. Book is the object, which is also a noun phrase, just like the subject. Can you say that in another language? Any other language? No. Any other language? Please help. Please help. So you can move fast. Any other language? I'm sure you can know languages more than English. Please stand up. Yeah, go ahead. Say up, sorry. Okay. Now in that sentence, is there a subject?
Yeah.
Which is?
Man.
Okay. Is there reading?
Yeah.
Which is the verb? Okay. Is there the object, the noun phrase? Book? Oh, kitabu. That's in Swahili too. Kitabu is book.
Yeah.
So you can see, even though that is Urdu and this is English, I said I'm reading a book, and you said in the Urdu, they're the same components. Maybe rearranged, but they're there. Can we hear another language? Anybody? Kiswahili would be ninasoma kitabu. Exactly the same way. I reading book. And the time marker that it is now. Ninasoma kitabu. So subject, verb, object. So for Noam Chomsky, he analyzed languages and he said, well, if you have the rules, if you follow the rules, you will be able to come up with the answers in the language. So remember when I had those seven, some of them grammatically correct, but they wouldn't make sense in their life? That was Chomsky. Okay, so learning was about discovering rules of grammar, the structure of the language, and that children do trial and error a lot, which is true, by the way. Children do trial and error a lot. What about the behaviorists? Stimulus response. You want a certain response in an organism, you give a certain stimulus. You want the child to speak, stimulate them somehow, you reward them, they speak more. Okay. Stimulus response, that is their approach. They did research with dogs, they did research with rats. Pavlov, I think they did research with dogs. Skinner. Does that ring a bell? Have you heard of those theories? Skinner, Pavlov. Yeah. So I wanted to differentiate classical conditioning from operant conditioning. This is very important. Classical conditioning was that pairing, you're talking about pairing, where the researcher paired, they say, ring or a bell and getting something. So bell rings, food appears. Bell rings, food appears. Bell rings, food appears. What do you think will happen when bell rings for like 100 times? The organism will expect food. So they salivate. That's how they know that the organism expects. So that is classical, just pairing two things that are unrelated. But they happen together to the extent that the organism, in our case, babies or children, will expect something because that's the routine. It's routine. But operant conditioning is different. It's all under behaviorism, but operant conditioning is different in the sense that the child is the operator here. Babies are really, really smart. If they go in, and it takes you like 3 minutes to get to that. It takes you 1 minute. Takes you half a minute. How do you think they're going to make you come fast? Right? They're operating. So that is operant condition. How did they do the research come up with that? They had in a maze, I think that was Skinner. In a maze, the rat would go about its way, just going, looking for a way out and find it, and then hit a lever accidentally. Hit the lever for something to eat, he said. And then goes about his business. Hit the lever again, some food comes out. So what do you think is going to happen as time goes by? You have to keep eating the lever to get the food. So the organism operates and it becomes an organism. So those are the two approaches. And reinforcement meaning rewarding the good behavior. So when it is positive, rewarding the good behavior. When it is negative, to stop behavior. Now, Jim Piaget, our favorite, for him, language is a product of cognitive development, and it becomes important for exploring the science. So he didn't really focus on language. And you know how many people he studied his research? He studied his own children. You know how many? 3. And this big theory came out. He must have spent a lot of time. But his theory has been tested over time and has been improved on by many, many other researchers. And he came up with some significant information actually to the theory going. He didn't see infant vocalizations as language. To him, those are just sounds of pleasure that maybe they're entertaining themselves. But by age 1, I think this came later. I realized that children can have some sort of organized mental and symbolic representation. It's some sort of schemata. So that certain categories in the brain would be similar in terms of that. For example, if I say banana, it goes to a certain area of your thinking. If I say car, it goes to something else. So those schemata actually reflect the receptacles in the brain categorize it. If you're hit with new stimulus, which you have never heard of, your brain really struggles to place it somewhere. But with time, it finds a place and your brain grows. That's what synapse develops. When you learn something new and your brain operates. And he also highlighted that children's initial speech is very important. Know about them. What about Levidatsky? This is a component of the sociocultural theory. Now, sociocultural theory, that's the name of the theory. He has some key terms, as you will see in the next slide. But the name of the theory is actually sociocultural theory. It's not any of the key terms that become so famous more than the name of the theory itself. He saw the primary function of language as social communication, getting things done, being influenced by society, and related to mental function, of course, because when you're speaking, we're utilizing our brain. When you're speaking, we're processing. That's the best way to keep your brain active. When you're speaking, you're organizing, you're producing, like a lot of things are working together, like a well-organized. So he saw that language is mental function and actually the overall development of cognition too. That is why children who advance in language, they are more likely to be advanced generally. Children who have delays or hurdles in learning the basics of language may have advanced. Language is like a marker. For him, cooing, bubbling, crying were considered emotional behavior, from collective or something, of drawing attention. It's not like they didn't think anything. For him, it was important because it was communication. It was like drawing attention or expressing, maybe subconsciously expressing certain feelings that needed someone to attend them. Scaffolding is an important part of the sociocultural theory. Zonal proximal development is an important part of the sociocultural theory. It is not the theory itself. Every time there's a question about the Vygotsky's theory, oh, zonal proximal development. No, it's not the theory. The theory is sociocultural. But sociocultural theory. This is just the understanding that if you scaffold, to scaffold like to help, move forward, guide. So as you scaffold, as you help children who do better, they achieve more. So the zone of proximal development is a comparison between what the children can do without any help and what they can do with the help. So the scaffolding adds the learning. Child is able to demonstrate more advanced skills, whether it's language or cognitive development or social emotional. And so the ZPD is actually zone of proximal development, which means that scaffolding helps children to learn more. He also talked about private speech. To him, this was showed some sort of process, thinking through problems, trying to help the self-understand. Do you speak to yourself sometimes? Do you talk to yourself? When do you talk to yourself more? When something's hard to do or when it's easy? Doesn't matter. Raise your hand if you have never talked to yourself. You always talk to other people. Whoever went that. Why do you do it?
Fixing, kind of, it's like target, yeah,
Yeah,
scared,
yeah.
kind of like to problem solve. Yeah.
To problem solve, yes, to process things. What else? Person. Somebody makes me glad to get home and empty down. Anyway, evaluating their actions to see where you are. It's right. That they made a mistake. When it's harder, good Sandra, you talk more because you're kind of monitoring your own thinking and actions of it. All right. When children are able to communicate, of course, they want to connect. They want to connect with other people. They want to communicate. They interact. They use pragmatic language, which is one of the fun aspects. Pragmatic. Especially in book sharing or anything that you're doing, you can see that the children are actually participating in the context, creating the context of reading the context and doing things that the context. So for Vygotsky, language is a process and not just a product. Yes, process of learning, but also the product of learning. And the best way to learn is good language models. Good language models. We wish we could make that happen in all family households. Good language models. We need those. What does that mean? It means that people who use language appropriately, people who use language well. Good language models are the best because children are so ready to copy. Children are so ready to imitate. They're exploited. Just take everything, good or bad. So giving them good language models is really great to have language and so here's some of the key points you want to get from this. I talk about receptive and expressive. Language learning, as I mentioned earlier, you can use for presentation. You cannot separate cognition from perception. Cognition, like cognition means mental ability. So your mental ability, you didn't realize that you're in your room right now with other people, the lights on. Okay, you're doing something. That mental ability to kind of put that together. You know, it cannot be separated from how we perceive things. And language is so connected to the cognitive domain, but when you start thinking about it, you already use language in your mind. So connected. That is why cognitive development and language development are just things that one cannot separate. Visual and tactile stimulus is good to draw children's attention, to pay attention to language thinking. And we have advantages such as children attraction to human things. Like saying, I'm ready to interact, I'm ready to take something, connect with them, and then start communicate verbally or okay. So they develop the receptive skill, absorbing. Receptive is like absorbing, hearing it, seeing it, and learning. Expressive is when they're trying to imitate and produce or send a message somehow using words, non-verbal. Questions? Any question about it? We're going to show this first activity for language theory. We're not going to do it now, but for your own, you can easily do that. Look at it and see if you think you have trouble. I don't think you need to spend class something. Everything can. This is called next class when you're on your own. So this is about theories. I'm not going to go into more detail about theories. This is good enough to get you started. Now, before we go into the second part, which is linguistic diversity, you want to take a break? Do what you can provide? What is it? Oh. No, let's make it. Oh, no, let's make it. No, more like one. I don't think I'll get to this first, okay. And then it's not like that. So just. It's there. Or it's extended. It depends on what you think is important. What are you going for example? For example, here. What example is the best? Oh, what point? This one and so if I was so this is just these are the book for my own. It looks like it looks like you have the outline. What you need to do is just add information so that it looks like I'm going to answer. So your daughter. So you can. Oh, you got the most. So much did you pay? But they didn't come. No. Sorry. And she said, we tried it, look at the teacher. No, it's a good book, and it's written in the so yeah, I saw that. No, you want like. Was Rachel in class today? Did you have any classes for this? That's what was on. Line. Who else is that? Signing to the. Let's go and step out. That's what they do. Bonus points. And I know that most people want to push the last days. Let me tell you what happened. You say you want to go to the last day because you're giving yourself enough time to do the work. And then something happens, maybe snow, maybe something, we move the class online, and the technology is not working, and at the time we recognize it's not my fault, but no, it's your fault. Because you could have done it differently. If you move it, if you keep it to the end, and something happens, and you cannot present, you literally lose 40 points. You will. Because you get sick, all that problem, that's fine, but you cannot make up for presentation. You cannot submit those slides to me. You know, you cannot submit those slides. So it has to be faster. The earlier the better. You know why? Because did you get it?
Yes, I got it. I got it.
Right, signing up for an earlier date is an advantage because there's a buffer zone. If I cannot do it this week, then I'll do it the next 2 weeks. There's also constrained by the fact that we have this writing class and want to see the presentation class more effective. And if under very extenuous circumstances, maybe you're in the hospital and needed, or you are having a baby, or you are getting married and your spouse says this day or never, then you can present online through Zoom. But we don't even have that still. You have to read the question. My advice, sign up for any of this so that you have some buffers. Don't have a buffer zone. If you don't present, please don't try to make up for presentation. It's not like submitting the slides that we do. So, if you sign up and then you do it from 14 well, you won't get the points until you present. Oh, how many presentations can we have in one day? You want to spend the night here? Or I'm gonna ask the police to protect us for the night. I don't know, it's not that hard. Even the last thing we heard, it's the one everybody knows. So please get somebody on the 14th and just hold on up.
There's one of them.
Up to me. Nice on it. If you've done the observation, yes, you can. All you have to do is do the form. If you have not done the observation, but you can do it next week, still okay. So this February, we don't do anything else. Okay, for the major problem. The observation. So, you're observing a child who does not exceed 2 years. You're gonna write a paper and submit at the end, but the presentation is done early. Now that one. The first one of the syllabus. Because it's the first one on the syllabus because it's so there are so many things from observing, presenting about it, and writing a draft. Again, writing a draft, a complete draft, it's the points. Those are the points that people need to come. Sorry, present on 14, but I submit that on visual after that. Oh yeah, the paper is not due until much later. Yeah. In fact, when you present and you have some time between presentation and the submission of the paper, you end up writing a little bit. Right, about after I would say 10, and then a question from classmates. Don't have more than 8 slides because there are 5 aspects. Let's say you have 1 slide for every aspect, and you embed your portion of the video right there, 1 minute of the so, qualitative development evidence. If you have 5 slides, each one for each of the aspects, 1 for each of the aspects of language knowledge. You have your introduction that is 6. Maybe you have 1 where you're showing us that you know what these 5 aspects of language knowledge are. That's 7. Maybe you have 1 more. People want to be fancy something. So try not to go beyond 8 aspects. We're going to have 12 slides. It's fine, but as long as you can go through them. Just make sure you have evidence of the child producing that, that evidence. Can be audio, video is really good, but there's so much more that is not spoken in language, especially. You don't know nobody in the first. Oh, two people.
There's 3 for the first.
Morning. Yeah, be daring. Things that you don't know you can do. Just get started and see what's going on. Okay, here we go. Okay. We're gonna start again. Some slides. All right, so let me sit there. I'll download it later. Let's go back to our discussion. So. Okay. But this is the direction. What goes in your mind, what goes on in your mind with here. What does it normal? Now, this is about language. What is about language? Because the language is so unique for every group of people. You cannot learn a few things about language or about all language. Even about have a mixed language. Tell me what was your languages? What else? And you can see here, this is for February 7th, but because you're going to be closely on your couch writing, that's what we're making this now. Otherwise, okay, let's move fast. Imagine this, if you want to answer this question, you can answer this on your own. If all people spoke one language in exactly the same way, what would be the advantage? What would be the disadvantage? Find something there. Okay. Languages, similarities and differences. In what ways are all human languages similar? In what ways are they different? Any answers come to mind? Let's share it. Now, sorry. Communicate, all languages communicate, what else? Facilitates understanding. Okay. Grammar rules, the underlying grammar rules, Chomsky rule 15. What about differences? What about differences in language? All languages all have the same speech sounds. No, try to sound like no. Okay. So think about those questions. Now, given the similarities and differences, which similarities are biological? Which similarities are environmental? Something to think about. You're going to go through the slides and answer this for yourself, because they're going to come back one more. So you're going to fill in answers. Right now, I'm just showing you what they are and what possible answers. How many of those similarities would be just environmental? Think of a child who cannot produce certain sounds because they have never heard anybody cannot talk. There are children who cannot talk at all, right? You have heard stories, horrible stories where children were mistreated or locked somewhere and forgotten, or something happened and they never breathed, they never heard. Is that biological? Was environmental? But environmental over time can actually become. So the child is not developed because the child was or certain sound. The child cannot produce certain sounds like ngombe because they were not in that type of environment where those sounds are produced. Is that biological? It's environmental. If they were raised in those areas, they'll produce those sounds. If you are born in South Africa, you will be speaking in South African click without any problem. So environment, biology, those are the two things. Some of them are, some of them are. Same thing with differences as well. Now, these are important terminologies that you have to read about. If you haven't read the chapter, Linguistic Diversity, please do. It's very enriching. It's like a story. You will love it. We know a language is a system of communication. And we know that, or now we know, or we're just learning that a dialect is a specific version of a language based on geography. Location, where you are, you speak that way because you are where you are. Give me examples. And if you go to other places where people speak the same language, you speak differently. You speak that same language differently. Think of any examples. Please, Karen.
So when I went to West Virginia, even though I speak English,
Yeah.
I couldn't understand because
You couldn't understand?
Yeah.
What happened?
because I grew up in Chicago and it's
Yeah.
so fast.
That's a good example.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was hard.
I've heard of Southern accent. Is that what you're talking about?
No, that's
It's not been Southern.
it's a southern
Anyway.
accent, yeah, and how they
Yeah.
it's a different way of speaking.
With the intonation, maybe. Okay. Thank you. But is it really different dialect? That's more like. Okay, let's have more examples. Any other example? Anybody? Doesn't have to be English. I'll give you an example. This is going to be removed, but I hope it makes sense to you. The main the main language spoken in Kilimanjaro, if I've heard of Kilimanjaro, it's northern part of Tanzania where I was born and raised. I was born and raised in Kilimanjaro, right on the tip of the mountain. And I used to look at it and think, it's still with it. But they might go to this mountain, let's see everything, but they got to it. So the language is called Chanda. Sometimes WG, I don't know why. And this is an indication of language. Sometimes the key is what the key is the indication of language. Now, this language, which is my mother, one of it has 8 dialects. 8. You cross the river, the dialect is 8. You know, I happen to be from that language. My husband from that language, Bujo, but I would understand there's 8 of them. I'm telling you, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The vocabulary would be the same, or the Kibosho. My sister was married with a man from Kibosho. We would not understand the thing he was saying. There's also Rombo, this is really close to Kenya, going around the mountain. And to the west side of Machambe, my other sister was married to a man. We would not understand, but speaks it. So that's the kind of language variation I'm talking about. It's all the same language, but they're so different. You really will not understand. Is that the case for you too? Was the vocabulary different?
The vocabulary, how, what I.
like names of things.
Yes,
Yeah,
right.
okay,
But I know, I understand
yeah,
my husband was from Mexico and
yeah.
he knew where people were from by how they were.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, somebody opens their mouth in Kilimanjaro, and exactly right. Actually, their last name will tell me where they're supposed to even be buried. I know. So that is dialect. As long as geography is involved, it's dialect. Now there's pidgin, which is actually a product of linguistic groups clashing with wanting to communicate. They're trying to make life go on, and they don't have words. They're hungry, and then they figure out a word for it. Yeah, whatever they call it. Believe me, if you're with someone else, you don't know their language, they don't know your language, you're hungry, you'll find a way to talk and find food. You're going to go hunting and work really collaboratively until you get food. Or go and dig up some roots or something. So the exchange of business, buying and selling goods, exchanging goods, give you beads, give you clothes. The language comes up. Do you know an example of pigeons? Pigeon language? Have you heard of patois? Is that a pigeon or pigeon? Patois, you know what patois is? Somebody told me patois. It's a mix of English and Caribbean. What language is spoken? So English? English? Yeah. Okay. It's a mix, yeah. Somebody told me it's a pidgin. I'm not sure because there's a difference between Creole and pidgin. But Creole is actually more advanced. That has become more like its own language. You're not familiar with any of those? Sana, I saw your hand up at some point.
Words, and I just came in my mind that because I was born and raised in Pakistan, we used to
Yeah.
the British, I think British yes, over there.
Right.
When I'm here, lots of things like lots of broken words, just super different.
Yeah.
Like when I went further in my mind right now, like over there, when you are mad or like mentally ill, mad.
But you're angry. Yeah. That's a good example.
I was for dustbin because we used to call garbage can dustbin over
It is dustbin. That's how I grew. That's what I grew up. Dustbin, yeah. We call it dustbin.
Yeah.
Right. What about Macintosh? Umbrella. Right. When you've been many places, then you begin to put it together. That's how I grew up too. It takes a while, and it's spellings too. Fungi, favor, lots of. Right. So yes, those are different. Actually, they are dialects. Oh, Tim. Okay. are playing hide and seek.
That's funny. It's a.
The Creole and registered. Pidgin. Yeah, we're listening to example. Very exciting. Now, when to register, this is the specialized grade, like the social register, the academic register, the local register, sorry, legal register, business register. Thank you so much for that. Okay. So tell me if you know any example of this, of use of language in this time. Let's share that.
Social register, be something that I would talk to it.
Okay, right.
Register.
Yeah. Like what words in this? What words? Sir? That can be anyone. Can that happen even here? Give me something really specific to, let's start with the legal. Give me something specific to the law, something legal. Incarceration. Subpoena. Okay. What else? Serve time. You know that means. No. What about academic? That's broad because academic there are many subjects. Let's say academic in teaching. What words, for example? Curriculum. Then you know these might be teachers. What else would you hear to suspect they are teachers? Assessment. What else? Instruction. So now you're getting it. So that is some sort of register. The language of teachers, the language of lawyers, the language of business people, contract. What else? Sales, the quarter, profits, losses. Okay, what about the social register? You were talking about how you talk to somebody, let's say age or someone older. We had that example last week. Okay, so that makes sense. So you have all these variations that come into play in addition to actually learning the language and having the exact the structure, set of rules, the vocabulary, everything. Now, understanding the history of it is really important. Not so long ago, if you didn't speak the main language of any group, there was something wrong with you. It doesn't matter where. My grandmother one time said someone was, she used a bad word. So I don't even have to translate it. Because he didn't speak the version of our Chagalam. Why? Like, okay, not one of us. Where does it come from? Who doesn't speak Islam? The grandma, he comes from a different place. So that type of understanding, with English, of course, being such an international language, if you didn't speak English, you need to go to school. And many countries, the British Empire was so strong, it permeated the whole world. Nobody knew it before. That's why everybody speaks, just about everybody speaks English. If you're talking academics, just about everybody speaks English, other than countries where they have focused on using their own languages for academics. Like, I know some Asian countries, it's really the lingua franca. Some children, sometimes it's sad when you think about it. Some children, even in countries like Tanzania, they're 5 years old, they're speaking English fluently, but they're not speaking their native languages. And I think that's a cost. You know what parents are doing? They're paying a lot of money to take these children to boarding schools where the curriculum is entirely English, just for the purpose of speaking English. Speak English, you will make it English. And now they're beginning to rethink. Speak English, okay. But what about the language that you use it every day, that has knowledge, that has things that you need? Okay. So there was that deficit mode. And then there is the socialization. If you don't do well in school, well, language is probably the problem. And that's not just the language, it's you too. When the language you speak up, what's the problem? But now came the saver. Now they say, oh, wait a minute. Children are so capable of learning any language. And the more they have, the bigger they are. Only they need to get exposure, enough exposure to be fluent in all of it. I'm telling you, you cannot lose by learning that. Cannot lose by learning. Especially for languages that are used more internationally. One of my students, this was a while ago, said she spoke English, Spanish, Arabic, French, and German. I said, oh my goodness, I want that way. Because each one of those is a system. And this one brain works with all these systems effectively. And this person can be hired anywhere in the world. Not just translating, but just for her skills. So the brain research age this started in the 60s, 70s, started bringing more realistic connection between language and cognition. And as I said earlier, advancement in language production even at an early age is one indication that the cognition is working. And studies have shown children who have multiple languages that have been used, though. It's not multiple languages that are dormant, no. Multiple languages that are being used and which have a function in the child's life, like on a daily basis. Those children have higher meta-linguistic abilities. They have higher meta-linguistic abilities. That is a good fix. So we know now that languages are something to learn, because you cannot learn all of them, but the more languages you learn, the better, not the word. Because in that age, if you speak another language, that is a problem. It needs to be erased so that you can speak the language that is required. That was a mistake. That is being corrected. Questions or comments on that? Experiences, exposures, things you have heard, things you have known, things that have happened to you or family members with regard to language. With regard to the first language being done away with so that you can learn English, like the children I talked about right now. It's a really problem. It's a really serious problem of copy addressing. Because when you kill a language that the child already has, the family, it dies with the content. There's no way to thread out the content from the language. So that content is gone. There are things that are expressed in one language and they come out just right. And you cannot always translate that and get the same meaning. Try translating something in these two languages. Try translating something exactly from this language to this language and see how much meaning you lose along the way. Yes. All right. Then you have regional dialects. I was thinking this is where, they're dialects. Right. Yes, they're dialects. Thank you. Examples, please, if you can. I'm not an expert in all of these. I don't know. Those smiles tell me not to say something. Please do. Say something.
So they always talk about the K-pop. Kennedy, spoke. He was up during it.
Yeah, New England is like New York, Connecticut,
Yeah.
Maine, all the way to Maine.
Yeah.
Okay.
How he spoke. It's different from what.
Massachusetts. Actually, you're right. I lived in New York for years. I taught at Pace University in New York in the late 90s. And yeah, coming from Canada, I had to really listen to understand. And from there, I went to Oklahoma. Oh my goodness. They don't finish. Okay, if they said five, they said five. And I'm waiting for them to say it. Five. No, they just said five. You understand? I don't know. Is anybody familiar with that? Is it that's the suffix? Five, five, five. So they would say that. A lot of people comes from, and also there was like seller. What is seller? I thought somebody selling something. No, it was something that was, a hole in the ground, in the house, inside the house, like a basement.
I'm seller.
I don't know. Yeah, I thought it was about selling. It's amazing how does collage, especially in language, it's too. You know that little baby house on top of the little house? What do you call it? ATTI what? Secret. Yeah, you're lucky. It's not a nice. I thought it was so cute. I just got pictures of them. And I was so glad and they're so cute. What do they do? And I realized this I just my son visited his girlfriend's house one time, and they were given a room and they added him out. And the police said, "They are both married." He was oh, building going down, but I didn't know what basement was. This is really embarrassing. I'll tell you because I've been over it. I've learned it. I did not know why. I was growing up and into my adulthood, I'm married with 3 children. I know we build houses that way, not that way. So when we went to parents, oh, get a basement one. It's cheaper. That's a basement sounds fancy. And then I get to the door, they want me to go downstairs. I'm not coming. I'll go and say somewhere else, but I'm not coming to the basement. So it's all possible. For them, Sarah is the same. Yeah. So those are okay. Let's talk about the pronunciation. Pronunciation. Or some Midwest region. How do you say something here that's different from here or here?
Like the person I say like Boston, like you ever hear and then we would say Boston. And so like, what? I can't say something because I can't understand them.
Are they are truly different though. Even I know the differences. Somebody said like car keys, car keys, like something. And these are big car keys. I don't know. Does that make sense? Okay, what about here? What would that be? Do they finish the word? Oh, they say. Oh, is that right? Yeah. Right, those differences just here. And we're laughing. It's not something to make fun of. It's just yeah, it's the same. As long as you are well. Dialects, Black English, which is a combination of the regular English we speak, but also some vocabulary. I don't know if you are aware of it. Anybody? You heard or pronounce or like yeah, go ahead.
Like army just doesn't adjust to the regional dialect or whatever. Just it's just funny. It's like no matter where he's been like East Coast, Texas, Florida, up here, and he talks the same.
So it is the South. It is Southern accent, right?
No accent. It does not change.
Oh.
So he keeps the Black English no matter where he goes. It doesn't adjust to where he is.
Yeah.
So whenever he talks to us, it's the same no matter where he is, because he's lived in like South Carolina, Texas, Florida. So he's been all over.
Which is the South, yeah.
So
okay, for me, I grasp that. And I've heard words such as it's more like we was instead of we were. I'm familiar, which is okay for them. This is communication that is actually formed. It's not something to look down upon. We was there instead of we were there. So as a teacher, I'm saying, oh, that needs to be corrected. Not necessarily, unless it's a writing lesson and you're teaching grammar. Otherwise, we was. That's a will for me. So I don't know why they call it Black English. You say that's African American.
Well, I took another class and the like it's African
Oh, I'm sorry.
vernacular English.
What does it say in the book?
But I know that a long time ago it was called phonics. It's not like a type of name for it.
If there was a linguist who was trying to claim that, did you say bunnies?
Yeah.
It's a different language. Yeah, they were trying to claim that it was a different. I was interested in that when I was in Tanzania, but I didn't have enough time. So, which one is it the same then? Black English,
It's the same.
phonics,
They
or
just
kind of-
changed them. Because they're
so
all
it's the
like,
same.
well, phonics is like culturally insensitive, so we change it to African American.
Why cultural insensitive?
Because phonics,
What does it mean?
Ebonics comes from the word like enemy, and that's like a not nice way to refer to dark skin.
Ebony? So it has to come from the origin.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are all kinds of ways that one group of people is down another group of people, which is necessary. So African American English is the correct.
Well, the
I'm curious, what does it say in the book? Check for me.
It's an African American.
Are you sure?
In the book,
Okay, then
I think you said AA.
okay, then. What about Hispanic English? Hispanic English, anybody? Some example in Hispanic.
I mean, I've heard of us. Yeah.
Which means what? Yeah, so examples.
Like in Spanish or
It's a combination, right? We have Swanglish too,
because
which is combination of Swahili and English.
like to park your car, you park. But in Spanish you would say estacionar, but then we say parquear. It's park. And then we kind of made up a word.
You made up that, so that. Okay. Well, we talked about age difference. No. Age differences, language difference based on age difference. You use the same language that your parents, so grandparents use, or young people use. The teenage language. These are actually more social registers though. They are social cultural dialects, that's fine. They're not necessarily very, very geographical. So generally, is there a way girls talk that is different from how boys talk? Little ones? Like what words?
But it also there's
In any language.
there is a difference. How girls speak and how boys speak is basic.
Okay. Such as what? In the vocabulary or in
vocabulary. If a girl is saying, I do something, English is still saying, boy and girl, I do, I am doing. But in Urdu, like, मैं कर रही हूँ, मैं कर रहा हूँ. Like, it's a big difference.
Oh.
It's a big difference.
and it's because the girl is speaking.
Yeah.
It's not that someone is referring to her.
The girl is like, there's a different vocab word as a different word. What has a different word. Same goes
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's different from French because in French, la table, in the front. What else? In French, some things are she, like the table is she. I know. La front, la table. Oh, la fenêtre. The window is also she. And someone must be. In Swahili, absolutely nothing. There's nothing that refers to them. Zero. If I say anakuja, the a is the personal pronoun. Anakuja, the a can be man, can be woman, can be child, can be old person. Personal pronoun does not change. There's nothing like she, he, absolutely. Swahili doesn't. And the Chaga language is absolutely not. There's no literalization of any kind. I don't know. Well, that's how that's been, because even spending time with my grandma, I didn't think about gender of, male and female. So there are advantages of, oh, maybe I should ask you. What is the national language of this country? English, right? You're shaking your head. There's another one. What is the national language? Some people say there is no national language. Okay, whether there is no national language or not, we're all speaking it, I guess it is. The academic register is important. Of course, you want to use the academic register. Why? Try not using it and see what happens. Because that's why we're in this class, learning how to write using the standard version of the language. Every language has the version that is the standard. Communication, formal communication is done in that version. Writing of formal documents is done in that version. The other ones are okay, but they're not, they don't step up to the formal way of using that. Okay, so every language has that, not just English. The materials are written in that language, classroom instruction is in that language, and you need people to provide, the teachers to provide good language notes for children. And how do you support academic register? Well, in some of the ways. You study English all the time. Young children, they're copying. I know there are times you're doing kind of housekeeping things, getting ready, setting up place for activities, calling them to the ground. Every time, if you give them the advantage of learning receptively the standard version of the language, then they give you good language. All respect. So complete sentences, okay? Written assignments in the academic register, even if it's just a word or paragraph, you really want to build on the metacognitive ability. Starting with the metacognitive. Formal discussion, debates, the good way to improve language. Did you engage in debates in high school? Did it help learning language? No debates? Really? Those are really interesting as a weapon. I'm going to move on to something else. We're running out of time. These are just levels of formality to make sense. Oh, this is an important slide. The difference between first language or mother tongue from second language, which does not mean the language you learned second. No. Second language does not mean that the language you learned after you had one. No. You can have two first languages, like I do. I have two first languages, Swahili and Italian. They're both first languages. Why? I grew up with both of them. I didn't know when I learned them, just spoke them. And then I went to school and learned English as a foreign language first, but then the more we used English in the school system, it became a second language. So a second language is a language that is available in the socio-linguistic context. If the child steps out the door and the language is available, that is a second language. So there can be two second languages. There can be three second languages. Just like there can be one mother tongue, two mother tongues, three mother tongues, and so forth. And it is possible. The father speaks one language. The mother speaks another. The grandmother speaks another language. The nanny speaks another. The child is likely to pick up all of it if there is enough exposure. And they all become. So the use of second language and foreign language are the same thing? No. So a foreign language is something you only learn in class for a specific purpose, and you are done. You get the credit, you are done. Like French, for me, I don't speak French. But if I listen to people speaking French, I can pick one of the things, I can pick up on it. But I would not converse in French. Why? Because French was not available out the door. I step out the door, I didn't make French. But I step out the door, I'm talking to my teacher, I needed to speak English. My teacher did not speak the language I spoke. So second means you need it Because you're going to be compelled to use it when you go out.
So, right to the work, like, loads of friends.
Mhm.
Concept, right?
Yes, if I stay there long enough, it can actually become my second.
What if you don't stay there?
Oh, it's still foreign. Yeah, because I won't be able. That's a good question. No, but it wouldn't. I would be compelled to use it, but I wouldn't be able to. My second language. That's a good question. It would be available if I step out of the hotel or a house I'm living in. It's not my first language. It's still foreign to me. Yeah, that's a good question. What do you think it would be? Second language. Yeah, I know that. I just know that to ask it. I wouldn't die if I'm asking for food in French to leave me and get it. But I cannot converse in French. These are some of the factors that affect second language learning. Oh, you watch those videos, this is going to get started. So watch those videos. I want to stop here about advantages of multiple languages. There are many of them. Are there disadvantages? Maybe. So look that slide over right. Programs for second language is key. It's important that it's actually on the literary. There's a worksheet for activity for second language. Please open it up and do it right now. Look at it and see if I need to elaborate anything before I let you on your own. What class activity for second language? And that's it. Questions on that. So when we are not meeting here next week, you have a lot of work to do. You have, let me just show you, you have that program for second language learning. You saw that in the video, right? There. You have concept. Oh, why do I have it twice? Oh, that's the theory. Oh, programs for second language. There are two, so do both of them. And you have class activity for theories. If you don't do it, it will show up someplace, gonna pop up, saying this person didn't do it. Now, this is what we did not get to do, and rightfully so, because we had so much. We don't have time to do this, but please watch these 5-minute videos. You will learn something. Download this worksheet. Download it first, so you have it on your computer so that you can answer those questions. But go back to D12 so that you can watch those videos. They're not that. They're not that. I want to stop here and use the next 10 minutes. Yeah, we don't have class next week. We have to use the last to the last minute. We're going to do writing workshop. This is required of the writing intensive class. Writing workshop. Get with I don't know, the same people that you worked with last time or new people, that's up to you. Do a writing workshop for an entire 10 minutes about any of your assignments. Get started. Writing workshop. You can read on a Google document that you have. You can start a new one if you don't have any. You can. I hope what you did last time you finished with that particular assignment. It's not. You can choose an assignment. There are guys who can do well. Get the guide and start your. You remember how to do that? You know how to do that? Please, get to work. You don't have work. You want to If you're writing about the newsletter, get the guide. If you're writing about the journal article review, get the guide. If you're writing about the observation, yes, get the guide.
Like these, all this question, just like.
Yeah, get the guide.
Yeah. True. No, it's just, it's almost like a like study guide. That's the example. The body, and then you're looking at throat to do it. It's they got.
But then again, you will just. But that's. That makes sense. That's almost. It was, yeah. Figure. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. What we're discussing, you're not. I'll say that was other. What else? Okay. For the country. But it's the same. Yeah. Sounds good. Sign your name, I'll not remember you were here. Signing. You bring it to class first. One thing you cannot do is when you go to 3 pages. That is a no, 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 no. Cannot be 3 pages. You know why? Because newsletters are usually typically one sheet with information on both sides. So when it flows into the third page, one it's out. So you bring it to class so that I can see there's actually one written on both sides. You don't want too much color, you don't want it too plain, you don't want too much text, you don't want too many images. It's a battle. And key information has to be included. Having boxes, bits and parts of information in different box. Don't write as like an Excel on one page and some other things on the next. Try to make it attractive but professional. And a differentiate font size, not the same font size all over the place. Some things need to be larger, some things need to be smaller. And your contact information should not be like font size. Make it small, but there are some things that you want to highlight. Sign in that information on everything on the page. Two sides of the same sheet. Now,
When you submit on D12, if it flows into the third page, please download it, check it out, and make sure it's just that's it. Oh, that's the way it is. When you upload it, it's on these pages. So. And please allow some margins. Margins make it very professional. Some people like, hey, please at least happening. Let her accent happening. Happening margin on all sides is good. But no margin on top, it doesn't look good. So make sure it happens. You bring that hard copy to class, and once I approve it, you submit it, you get your points. You still have to be 2 pages on it. All right. Thank you so much for your patience. You're the best thing of tonight. You take the whole time, but you're compensating for the work of family here next week. And thank you for signing up for the show. Thank you for the people. Who are they? For the 14th. Sana, Leah, and Patrick. Let me know if I can. And I appreciate the signing. Keep coming back. So, Have Sharon been here? Sharon. All right, I'll see you soon. If the one's done, I'll post them, please, or whatever day that you it will be completed by the due date. Late users don't count, so don't do anything. Okay?